Why do people fear spiders? Is it their grotesque appearance? Their spine-chilling movements? Or their callous aggression? As a child, I distinctly remember watching venomous spiders viciously attack grasshoppers that had become trapped in their silky webs, slowly strangling the helpless creatures and then brutally inserting grotesque fangs into the creatures' tiny bodies, slowly draining them of their very life force. Since I can remember, I have always been scared of spiders, but like all phobias, there must be a cure. I am on a personal quest to overcome my fear of spiders. Although I am terrified of these creatures, I am also very fascinated by them. Before beginning this documentary, I regularly asked myself, why am I afraid of spiders? I had to isolate myself to think. Was it seeing a spider on my bed crawl over me whilst I was asleep as a young child? Was it the fear installed into me by my parents to protect me from these creatures? Or is it just an innate and primal reaction that is instinctively built within my being? In order to overcome my fear of spiders, I must first face it. During my research, I was lucky enough to speak with Dr. Robert Raven, an expert in the field of arachnids. There is no better way to face my fears than to be surrounded by live spiders. Dr. Robert Raven is the leading spider expert in all of Eastern Australia and runs Australia's only 24/7 spider bite and identification service. Dr. Raven specialises in trapdoor, tarantula and funnel web spiders, but he too had a fear of spiders when he was a child. I had a chance to catch up with him at work one day to ask him just why he works with these creepy crawlies and just how he overcame his fear of spiders. Could you first tell us how you became Australia's leading spider expert?
Well, I began to study spiders by myself. After a few years I did a PhD on a particular group of spiders, and with that PhD I was able to go to the American Museum of Natural History in New York, where I spent a year studying and becoming an authority on the trapdoor and tarantula and funnel web spiders of the world.
Can you tell me about your experiences with spiders and any possible childhood fears that you had when you were younger?
When I was quite young, I don't know how young, my father, who was a mining engineer, would tell me stories about going into caves and disused mine shafts. And there were spider webs all through the cave's entrance and mine shaft entrance, and he would talk about lighting a flaming newspaper and burning the spiders down as he walked in, the webs down, and the webs would fall down the back of his neck. Now when you tell a child of the right age this, a fear sets in.
How did you overcome it?
By studying them, by commanding the knowledge of which ones are dangerous and which ones are not. The problem is that the fear that I have is still there. I've discovered that through just an accident that happened when I recognise that what I do is that I put up a conscious guard. I'm in control most of the time, and when I put that guard down and relax and go to bed, then that guard is no longer there in some circumstances, and I can react just like someone who's normally afraid of spiders.
Why do you think that people have a natural fear of spiders?
Well, I don't know that people have a natural fear of spiders. I think that the spiders, a lot of the spiders that we see, particularly huntsman spiders, move sideways or move in a way that people don't recognise will happen. They don't have any experience with them, and the spider moves in an unpredictable direction. Now, we are born with certain natural fears, and one of the fears is falling. Okay, and you can simulate that fear by sitting too close to the theatre in the movies and watching some of those early ads where there's high speed action, short clips, and you can't focus. And the effect of not being able to focus is the same as what happens when you're falling. And I think that's the fear that spiders trigger. It's the movement that causes the disturbance.
To me, I would think that one of the reasons for my fear of spiders is that the possibility that a spider bite could actually harm me, could potentially kill me, and others probably think the same. But what percentage of spiders are actually deadly to humans?
Well, there are at least 38,000 species of spiders described from the world, and probably about 5 species or 5 groups of species or genera are potentially are capable of killing. And the death is not usually so fast, so that there's always some degree of medical intervention that can occur and reduce the fear. Bees kill a lot more people than spiders every year because of the shock from the bee stings. Equally with ticks, they're quite dangerous, but they're little guys and they don't get in the way.
So, just what happens when you're bitten by a funnel web spider? Firstly, you will notice intense pain around the bite. You may start to get tingling around the mouth, muscle twitching, nausea, vomiting, profuse sweating, salivation and shortness of breath. Death may occur within a range of 15 minutes to 3 days. Most Queensland hospitals now stock antivenom for the Sydney funnel web spider, as reports have shown that they are beginning to migrate north into Queensland. If you spot one, don't aggravate it, because it will not back down. It will assume an aggressive stance and defend itself violently, if necessary. Spiders are creatures that strike fear in the hearts of many. I did not choose the topic of spiders lightly, but I wanted to overcome my fear of spiders. By researching, learning, and getting up close and personal with spiders, I was able not to cure my phobia, but create a mental barrier to slowly extinguish my fear of spiders. To those who fear spiders, I challenge you to confront your fears, learn about spiders, appreciate them, and soon you will begin to overcome your fear of spiders. Phobias, just like addictions, can be controlled and overcome with proper guidance and self-belief. Remember, nothing is impossible.